Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Highruler. In today's video, we're going to be going over the developer update today from Rocksteady with regards to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, if you hear anything in the background, Jasper just got a new treat, so you may hear him go absolutely nuts on that. So let's jump right into this. They say, greetings people in Metropolis. Let's jump right in by talking about the patch that we launched this week, as well as some changes we're considering in response to your feedback. This week's patch. The patch that we released this week was our first major rollout of bug fixes for the game. We addressed a variety of issues which should contribute to an overall smoother experience when playing through the story. Following the patch going live, we've received reports from some members of the community that they're unable to complete some incursion missions due to a loading screen issue. We started investigating these reports as soon as they came in, and the team is working to resolve this as soon as possible. We understand the frustration this is causing and apologize to any players currently affected by this issue. Now, just really quick here, guys, if you are experiencing the loading in Metropolis bug, apparently the fix is for not everybody, but for a vast majority, that you have to turn off crossplay in your settings. So that seemingly is the fix. Let me know in the comments below if that fixed it for you or if you're going to try it, because it seems like for a lot of people that is the fix. They go on to say that we also want to talk about some of the other issues we were not able to include fixes for in this patch and the respective statuses. While some of the login issues previously reported by our community have been addressed in the latest patch, we are aware that some players are still encountering difficulties logging into the game. We're working on these and will continue to update the community in future patch notes. All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. I like, it's such a tough situation. Like, I don't know how much more they can say, and I don't know how much more these people who are affected by this issue can take, right? You're like between a rock and a hard place here. People bought a game they can't play, and Rocksteady's working on it. They're trying to figure it out. And for some that it's fixed, for some it's still not fixed, right? Like, what do you do in that situation? I know for me, I would like to be offered a refund. You know, you buy a product, you can't play the product, you can't access the product. I think at that point, these people should be entitled to a refund, and I will always forever say that. But like outside of the refund scope of the conversation, like what else can you really say? What else can you do? And the answer is, I guess, not much, unfortunately. For players experiencing lag when playing in multiplayer sessions, we believe this patch has helped to alleviate this issue somewhat. Somewhat, yeah, okay, sure. For players who are unable to join multiplayer sessions entirely, we are actively working on this problem. And this is kind of like the big core of the issue that I'm seeing a lot of people have when it comes to the online portion. If you can join multiplayer, it degrades super quickly. If you can't join multiplayer, you just can't join multiplayer, right? Like, it just seems like it's just another hit, you know? Like, it's unfortunate because I think a lot of people, and we're going to talk about this as we go on, that people expected the pushback of the game itself, right? The entirety of the game. Live service, Suicide Squad, looter shooter, right? And we saw that pushback, and there was a lot of it. But no one really predicted or expected the issues that this game is having, which is, I think, is an entirely new issue for Rocksteady. You can kind of prepare for a lot of the negativity that people are going to have towards your game. Unless you are completely withholding QA whatsoever and you're not listening to QA and you're not catching things, it's really hard to predict the scope of the issues you may have. And these are huge. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, these issues they're having are mountainous. And it's just, it's unfortunate that after so much time, we're still having to focus on these issues. And rightfully so, we still will focus on these issues until people are able to play the game and enjoy it and log in and have fun. It's just, it's crazy that we're still here, you know? Like, that's just all I have to say. We're almost into March, and reportedly this launch of Season 1, and who knows when a lot of this stuff is going to be fixed for people. Mastery progression issues. Despite a fix for players unable to progress to higher mastery levels being included in the resolve issues awaiting release section of our known issues, we were not able to include it in our most recent patch. We will include this fix in an upcoming patch. Now, I said today that I used to give them a lot of grace, and in some ways I still do. This right here, we have to be really careful with how we read things, because I think a lot of people are going to be very upset if this doesn't come in the next patch, myself included, but they're giving themselves wiggle room here to not include this in their next patch. It will be in an upcoming patch, maybe not the next one. And if I'm going to be completely honest with you, if I have to wait for Season 1, which it might actually be, I'm going to predict now that this will not be fixed until Season 1, for me to be able to experience the end game without having to like go through their broken multiplayer bullshit, I'm going to be very unhappy. I'm actually going to be very upset, and I would not wish that on them. Don't wish it on me, because if I have to wait a month, over a month, you know, a month and a half to be able to play an end game, I'm going to be a very upset person. So I guess we'll just wait and see. This is, you know, this is not what I wanted to read. If this is awaiting release, you know, just tell us, like, Is it next week? Is it the week after? Is it season 1? This just is too vague for me, and I don't like this. I just don't. If you're experiencing any issues with the game, please reach out to customer support so we can get more information to identify a fix. Making sure the game performs well for all players remains a top priority for us, and our engineering and code teams are working hard to address issues as quickly as we can. Aside from bug fixes, this week's patch also includes a couple of changes to the Prometheum earning loop and endgame. Completing Raising Hell tiers now grants an increased Prometheum, meaning that this will be a great new way to earn Prometheum in Metropolis. As an extra boost to players who are new to the endgame, the first Mayhem mission will now award 9,000 Prometheum, up from 3,000. We hope these changes will make it easier for new players to explore Finite Crisis. Now, if I'm correct, isn't this bugged as well right now? So like Raising Hell tiers are getting reset. Like, so like even that's kind of bugged. Current meta. We've been keeping a close eye on the mastery level balancing, and since we fixed the issue with the burn status effect, we've seen some really interesting builds emerge that are allowing players to reach higher mastery levels. We love seeing the new meta emerge and players getting creative to really push the mastery levels. There are some really strong crit damage builds, freeze builds, and traversal attack builds that you found. While we think the state of the endgame is in a better place, we're looking forward to giving you even more variety in your endgame experience soon. With the release of our first season, we're increasing the number of incursion missions from 3 to 6, and you will only need to play 3 out of those 6 missions to increase your unlocked mastery levels. So that's cool. I like that. Good on them. The 3 additional incursion missions are what we call combat incursions. These are unique and intense combat encounters that give you more freedom to experiment and explore the best way to complete the mission. Upcoming patches. In the previous developer update, we shared some of our plans to act on community feedback, mainly regarding the Boom and Affliction immunity mutators. Following a positive response to our proposed changes, we aim to include updates to both Boom and Affliction immunity in an upcoming patch. Affliction immunity will now cancel on any damage taken, and Boom won't trigger from suicide strikes and shield harvesting kills. Thank you all again for your feedback and thoughts. Another change that we're looking to make in an upcoming patch is to increase the amount of damage that countershots deal to Brainiac in the Mayhem mission. That's a good change. This will allow you to more consistently damage Brainiac in this encounter while still keeping the intensity and challenge high. As for killing time, we want this to be a fast-paced fight for survival, which puts your skills to the ultimate test. Therefore, we're planning a change for episode 1 that'll keep the mission contained to a more concentrated area, resulting in a more intense battle. That's good. It just felt like, yeah, like everything was so spread apart, so a lot of the time you were moving around rather than like fighting enemies, which can make it a very frustrating experience. I know Trix has put that on Twitter, so obviously shout out to Trix and to everybody else who kind of, you know, focused that feedback on killing time. That was a big thing there and definitely a big improvement. Thank you all again for your patience while we work on improving the experience for our players, and please keep the feedback coming. So all in all, kind of a short little update here, but obviously the bulk of what people want to hear about is going to be in that first part here when it comes to the fixes. Once again, it's kind of frustrating that the mastery stuff is going to be probably season 1. That's pretty unfortunate. In some ways, pretty unacceptable. But like still, like this stuff here is brutal, man. I just, it's brutal, you know, like I know these things can't be fixed with the wave of a magic wand, but like, you know, in any other sector, it feels like if something's not working, it's like, you know, priority number 1 is to get that working, right? And it just makes me wonder, like, what is the issue that they seemingly can't narrow this down, right? Like, how many systems are at play here between Rocksteady, the servers, Warner Brothers, like however this stuff is working to really kind of hone in on exactly what needs to be fixed in order to get people online, you know? It's just, it's a brutal situation, man. So hopefully for you guys who are still encountering this issue, hopefully soon, you know, like, and I don't say that in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way, you know, like obviously, hopefully the sooner the better, and hopefully the sooner the better for all these issues, you know, like, it's just, it's pretty brutal all around right now. So we'll have to wait and see how this all goes, guys. Obviously, it's kind of an interesting spot already for Suicide Squad between, you know, community sentiment, the bugs, and then Warner Brothers coming out and saying it didn't sell as much as Hogwarts Legacy. It's just, it's a interesting time to not just be a community member, but even to be someone as a stakeholder in this game, right? Like if you're like a Rocksteady employee or Warner Brothers employee, someone who's worked on this game, how do you view this whole situation, right? That's a really interesting question to ask. I know for a lot of people, myself included, we're looking at this situation and a little bit of disappointment, a little bit of like, oh my God, and a little bit of like, are we playing Avengers again, you know? And that's always going to be a frustrating thing. So that's all I got for you guys today, man. If you guys want more Suicide Squad coverage, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a nice little comment, and I'll see you guys the next time. As always, enjoy the rest of your day and the night. Take care of yourselves. Later, guys.